is Dr. Alison Bremner. My clinic is called Atlas Chiropractic, and today I'm going to be talking about getting your mind right. So, I created this podcast, Cultivating Success, because I am very passionate about getting young chiropractors, specifically principal chiropractors, successful in life and in practice, because I think that there's a need for that right now. So today it's just going to be me. I really want to talk about this subject because I really think it's desperately needed right now, especially of what I've been finding has been being taught in schools and just kind of, unfortunately, not talking about this subject. So it's our fifth episode, and today we're talking about getting your mind right so that you can be successful. So, what I have found with having multiple associates over multiple years is that the number one thing that I find that successful chiropractors in general, but young chiropractors, is working on their mindset and how they are thinking about their reality and thinking about their success. Because at the end of the day, what you think, what your mind thinks, that's going to be your reality. So if you are, putting a bunch of garbage into your brain and surrounding yourself with people that are negative and not being supportive of you, you're going to have a tough time. And so I want to talk to you guys today. If you listen to my podcast or if you ever heard me speak, I talk about how there's no original ideas and that all of my ideas and my information that I give to you guys, it really is just things that I have learned from my mentors, from books that I've read. So today I'm going to give you some tips, things that I find that associates really need and graduates really need, and also just books that I have read that have really helped me and have helped other people that I've mentored in the past. So the best book that I have read, and this is a practical book, we're probably going to talk about some more woo-woo stuff later in this episode, but the most practical book that I've found on this subject is called Mindset. So it's written by Carol Dweck. That's Dweck. She is a PhD from Stanford, and she really was testing mostly athletes about what made them successful and what made some athletes not so successful. And really it came down to their mindset. And she found that there's really two types of mindsets. There is what's called a fixed mindset and what's called a growth mindset. And just like they're described, so a fixed mindset, someone that has a fixed mindset, they really just think that's the way it is. There's no changing it. Kind of why bother? It's kind of like the mindset of the most average American in this country. They're just like, that's just the way it is. There's nothing I can do about it. If you want to talk about health specifically, it's just your genes. You're unlucky, and that's you have no control of your health. That would be someone who had like a fixed mindset. And what's really cool about this book is if you're thinking about it from a chiropractic standpoint, a growth mindset is really more of a chiropractic mindset, meaning like, no. You might have been born a certain way, but you have control over your health and you can absolutely do things to be healthy. So that's also why I think that these principles are so great for chiropractors, because it really is talking about it and thinking about it from a chiropractic mindset. And so what I find though is I'll have new grads who are really into chiropractic and totally like, yes, you have control of your health and you just want to make sure you have less interference and you can be healthy, and getting adjusted helps you be healthy. But then when it comes to things like money and success and goals, unfortunately, they have a fixed mindset, which is like, well, you have to work really hard to make money. Rich people are evil and all this kind of nonsense that really gets in the way of you being successful. So what's really great about this book is, you can apply it to anything. So that's being health, your wealth, your happiness, your relationships. And really, you can have a growth mindset in all aspects. What's also really cool is if you happen to have a fixed mindset in a certain subject, let's say a fixed mindset about relationships. So like for whatever reason, you've struggled having good, positive relationships in your life, you can actually change your brain to have a more growth mindset in that category. And so this book kind of goes over tactics that you can use and how to fix your mindset. So the first thing is like understanding that you might have a fixed mindset in certain aspects. So I really love this book. It's one of the books that's on my associate reading list. We're going to get into that a little bit later. But like I said, the thing that I really see young docs struggle with is their mindset. And so I think that reading things and getting mentors and listening to different podcasts or audio tapes really, really helps kind of slowly start to change your mindset and, really overall your happiness. And what I think right now, man, I've been going to a lot of different schools and speaking to a lot of students, and I am just blown away about how negative, students feel about their schools. I graduated from Life West in '09, and I had a really good experience. Of course, you're not going to get everything you want to get from a chiropractic school, but I felt that you were exposed to positive things about chiropractic, positive things about mindset and money. And so I guess I assumed that everybody's chiropractic education was that way. But the more I talk to students, man, they're just like scaring the crap out of you. Like it's all about what you can't do. You can't, be upper cervical. You have to adjust full spine, or you have to take insurance. You can't be cash. You have to do this. Oh, you can't adjust that person. Oh, you can't say that. You can't do this. And I mean, like, man, I can see why students are kind of beat down and scared a little bit because they're just being told that there's all kinds of stuff they can't do. So once you get through school, and you know what? Some of it is just kind of jumping through some hoops. You got to pass your boards, you got to get through your classes, and it's not going to be, no matter what school you go to, some of that stuff is not fun, obviously, and some of that stuff is not going to be anything that you're going to need to use in practice, but you got to do it. So, right now is the best time to try to think about your mindset. So, if you're in school right now, I would strongly suggest that you start reading in your spare time. I know you guys have a lot of spare time about your mindset. So, the first thing I think that we need to talk about your mindset and how it dictates your success is if I'm looking back at my collections throughout the year, I can go back and see like how much money the office made, how many people we saw, and I see a big dip in collections in a certain month, I can almost guarantee you that there was something in my personal life that was happening or something that I was thinking about. Mainly like my attitude was poopy. I was having a crappy attitude. And once I realized it, because this is always a constant thing. Even when you feel like you have the best mindset and you read all the time and you're really focusing on it, you're going to slip up a little bit. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's all about catching yourself and coming back to a positive mindset, a positive attitude. But I'll tell you, it really, really dictates how successful you are when your mind is right, when you're focused on the right things and not focusing on outside factors that might be distracting you or making you feel bad or making you feel not happy. So this is how I know that this is true to be that your mindset is the most important thing, because I can see in my collections when my mindset was crappy. And same thing with I talked to my associate, Dr. Colby Wilson, about this, and she can look at some of her collections. And if she had a big dip, she's like, oh yeah, that month this really stressful thing happened. And I was not focused on the office, not focused on what was going on with my patients. And so that's why I think it's always important to think about this, because it directly affects not only how you're feeling, but like actually how your collections and your money and all that's happening. So I always like to give action steps for what you can do right now. So I think you have to think about, if you're trying to lose weight, this is an analogy I like to give. If you're trying to lose weight, you need to, one, stop putting junk in your system, right? And then you need to start doing things that are positive for your system, like exercise. Now your mind is the same thing. So first you got to stop doing the bad things that are destroying your focus and your ability to be successful. And so the first thing that I always recommend is to stop consuming any news media. I don't care if the news media is agreeing with you. Even if it is telling you things that you agree with, they're giving it to you in a way that elicits an emotion, usually a negative emotion. And so, you're consuming that. You're like, yes, exactly. I agree with that. I can't believe that's happening. All that's doing is just making you upset, even though you might agree with it. And definitely on the flip side, when you don't agree with that, that's obviously making you mad too. Because really, the media and the news, the whole purpose of that is entertainment and trying to make you scared. And, I personally, my top value is freedom. I don't like people controlling me. And I'm telling you, that's what they're doing. Is if you're consuming any media of any type that's telling you the news and what's going on, they're trying to control you. They're trying to make you upset. So it's the most helpful thing to do is to stop. And some people really struggle with this because they're like, oh, well, how will I be informed? How will I know? Well, I'll tell you what, my patients come in and they go, hey, have you heard? And I go, no. And then they tell me, and then I know. Because people, for whatever reason, feel like they need to tell you everything that's going on. So I promise you, you're not going to be left in the dark about what's going on. People will tell you, and you are going to feel a lot happier and a lot calmer, because that, man, right now, especially, the news is trying to scare you or make you feel a certain way. And, you should just be focused on what's happening with you, because you can't control, there's nothing you can do about it anyways. The second thing that you should stop doing is watching TV. And don't get me wrong, like, watching one show a night to kind of just calm your brain down, no big deal. I'm talking about, like, so you have a day, like for me today is Wednesday. I don't go to the office. And what I do on Wednesday is things like make this podcast or start writing my associate manual or looking at what we should be doing online, checking the reviews, because that's what I want to do is the things that will make my office successful, I do on the time that I have off. I don't just sit there watching TV because really it's wasting time. And I don't want to waste time. And I enjoy doing the things that are going to help, my office be successful. And I enjoy this podcast because I really want to get you guys to be successful and hopefully I can help you in some way. So yeah, TV, terrible for you. It's just a time suck. So if you could stop doing that, that would be awesome. Number 3 really is hanging out with negative and poverty mindset people. This is a huge thing. I mean, you are the sum average of the people you hang out with, the 5 people you hang out with on a regular basis. So if you're in school, think about your friends. Are they people that are trying to have a goal and chase that goal down? Are they happy when you have a success? Because there's nothing worse when you're like super excited. You're like, oh man, I did something really well or I accomplished this thing. And then they're like, oh, well, that must be nice. Or they say something like super negative that's not supporting you. Like, that's not a kind of person that you want to be around. Same thing goes like, you want to make sure that you're supporting your friends when they do something or they went to a seminar that they're really excited about. The last thing you should be doing is being negative about that. And you start to catch yourself being negative. When I was first learning some of this stuff, especially about the poverty mindset, we have this mindset a lot of times that we're taught through our parents or society, even movies. You'll start to see this in movies is where they always cast the rich person as the villain. The villain's always some rich guy that like for whatever reason hates the world and wants to take it over because that's the undercurrent tone of that people that have money or that people that are successful must have somehow gotten lucky or they somehow like did someone wrong. And that's just completely nonsense. I mean, people are good. Some people are good and some people are bad. And some people that are good have money and some people that are bad have money. It's no difference whether they have money or not. But because we as a society, for whatever reason, seems like we want to tear down people, that's something that I hear and see all the time. And you can start checking yourself. Simple as like, you're driving in your car, some jerk cuts you off in a Porsche. And, what do you say? Oh, that rich jerk. Well, no, he's just a jerk. It doesn't matter if he has money or not. So if you can stop that mindset of, rich people being evil, because I got to tell you, man, like how are you ever going to be successful and create wealth for yourself? Whatever that definition is for you, you're never ever going to be able to do that with money if you constantly think that having money is bad and evil. Now, there are a ton of books on money mindset. I'm not going to go into it today. If you ever want to, know the reading list that I recommend, just email me. I'll give you my email later. But I mean, that's the thing is you just have a person that is kind of your accountability negative mindset person. And when you say something negative, then they're like, hey man, that might have been a little negative. And you can do the same thing. Once you're aware of it, then, sometimes you're going to slip up, but at least you have somebody kind of checking in with you to just really help you get your mind right. And that person also is going to help you be successful and you guys can create goals and support each other through school. Cause I gotta tell you, there's enough people that are going to be negative to you in your life. I don't understand why chiropractors tear down other chiropractors. It makes no sense. Or students tear down other students because at the end of the day, man, we should really be trying to help each other out. So if you can get an accountability person to help get your mind right, that's going to be super helpful for you. And you should just start doing it now while you're in school. So on the flip end, there's things that you can actually start doing to help you with your mindset. And so the number one thing that really helps kind of set your mind for the day is what is called a grateful journal. And so I just have a little journal that is only for things that I write, things I'm grateful for. And I try to do 3 things every morning. It can be as simple as I'm grateful that I have some really delicious coffee in the morning. Or it could be something bigger that you're like, hey, I'm grateful that my office had its best collections it's had all year. So it doesn't really matter. As long as you're focusing on what you're grateful for, it really sets the tone in your day to have a better day. I can see the drastic difference in my day when I do my grateful journal and when I forget to do my grateful journal. And what's really cool is if you keep it in the same journal, if you're having a real tough time or a tough day, you can look back and you can see these hundreds of things that you've been grateful for. And it really just instantly, I've found that this is the thing that can instantly change the way that your mind is. One of my favorite quotes from Dr. DeMartini is, we think about and we get about what we think about, meaning that like what you're grateful for, the more grateful you are, the more abundance that you have and that you attract. So here we're getting to a little more woo-woo stuff. And if you've ever met me in person, you probably think that I'm like not very woo-woo. I try to keep my weirdness inside of me, but I'm pretty woo-woo when it comes to goal setting and success and happiness in the books that I read, because I would much rather be weird and rich and successful than cool and poor, because a lot of people will choose to be cool, but they always have that poverty mindset. So I'm happy and fine to be weird. I definitely try to keep some of that weirdness to myself. So, again, with that, thinking about, what you're putting into your brain, you want to read books on mindset. So, and I think physically reading books is helpful. So I think listening to audiobooks is great. I mean, I have a commute that's about 20-25 minutes. So I always have some sort of audiobook that I'm listening to on the way to work. But I think the act of like a book with pages that you open and read helps your brain. It just helps your brain calm down a little bit, because, we look at so many screens and computers all day. And so it's actually relaxing for you. So usually I have one book that I'm reading physically and one book that I'm listening to audio on the way to work. I really think that if you're constantly reading, and it's shown, people that are very successful, Elon Musk and Warren Buffett and those people, they read every single day, at least 50 pages a day. One, your focus is on that book. You're not consuming anything negative. You couldn't possibly do that. So it puts you in that place of where you can only be thinking and learning at that time. And two, you are learning different things that you can do and apply to your life. I've read some books that are total crap. And I read the book, but you know what? Sometimes I'll still get one little gem in there. So I just read a book recently. I won't say the name of it, but it was a business book, and it was just so not my style. The guy was just so, airy fairy. I didn't like it, but there was like one thing in there that I was like, oh man, this is great. I am definitely going to apply this. So even though maybe it was a waste of time, I don't know. It was about 2 hour audiobook, 2 hours of my life. Did I like the book? Not so much. But you know what? There was a little gem in there that I took, and it changed the way I was thinking about that certain subject. So there's going to be sometimes books that may not fit for you, but I think it's just the act of constantly reading and learning. So I also I listen to things that aren't just like practical books or like things to do. Sometimes I like to listen to stuff that just changes the frequency of my brain. My most favorite person to listen to is Abraham Hicks. Her name is Esther Hicks, and she basically channels this other being and talks about mostly law of attraction, which I know that sounds so out there, and it is so out there even saying it, but man, her voice, when I listen to it, it instantly puts me in a good mood. She's got this great money meditation. If you look up Hicks money meditation, I have sent it to dozens of people, and they say, man, I listened to that. The next day, I got that check I was waiting for, or a new patient came in, or something else happened, because it's so powerful. The way that your brain waves happen when you're listening to it and you're in that place of abundance. And so, I gotta say, she's out there, but like my absolute favorite thing to do and to listen to. And I just, again, I don't care that I'm weird, and you should embrace your weirdness. I mean, you're already a chiropractor, so you're already kind of out there and weird. So you might as well just like go with it. So, listening to that audio stuff is super helpful. The next thing I think is also very helpful is visualizing and creating your future. So today, when I was working on my associate manual, something I'm going to be producing in the next 6 months here, and thinking about this podcast, what I had in the background was The Secret, which is, I'm sure if you've read this book, again, it's law of attraction, and it's just on in the background. And one thing that I haven't been doing in a while is visualization. And so visualization, it's as simple as thinking about the way that you want your life to be. And it's a practice, just like meditation's a practice. And the more that you are concrete and can accurately describe and think about what you want your future to be, the more likely that's going to happen. And so I will say, at first, when you start to visualize your future and visualize your practice, visualize how you want to have your practice be, how you want it to work, the patients you want to see, the place you want to live, it can feel really awkward and hard, but the more that you do it, the easier it is. And then actually the faster your goals come, because you've already seen it in your mind. So when to take opportunities that are presented to you, because it aligns with the visualization that you've had. And I think this is a great thing to be doing in school, because if you get presented with a opportunity to work in an office, you can instantly figure out, hey man, this office would be perfect for me, because you've been visualizing and thinking about your future. And so you're just going to know that that's a good fit. If you have no idea what you want, you've never even thought about your future like that, you're just going to wind up in an office or start your own office and not know what the heck you're doing, and have no roadmap because you've never thought about it before. So I would highly recommend starting to visualize, all types of things, like what does your office look like, or the office you're going to work with look like? What would a mentor be that you would love to work with? What would it smell like? What would it look like? What place in the United States, or even, working abroad, what would that look like to you? I would strongly recommend doing that. And then along with your visualization, creating a vision board. And all that is the visualization that you're having. You're just taking that and physically putting it on some sort of board that you can see. I put mine in my office where I'm recording this podcast, because it's in this office is where I like to do things that inspire me and that feel good about how I'm advancing in my future and what I'm trying to chase down for my goals. So that is something that you can do as well. Whether you're in school or out of school, I like to do a visualization board, or once a year. I put up the things I want to accomplish. Most of them get done, or they're like, you know what? I actually didn't even want it. You'll have something on the board, and sometimes you're like, that's actually not what I wanted. And that's okay. And then that's why you can just redo one every single year, or you can do one every 6 months, whatever you like to do. And it just kind of helps you keep on track. Now, the final thing that was really going to help you, the things that you can do to help your mindset, is find some mentors that align with you. There are a lot of chiropractic mentors out there. And I think finding the one that fits you, they have been in practice, they've worked with people that, have been in school and need help. And so I would highly recommend finding some mentors or docs that you want to shadow, because you don't know what it's like to be in practice and they've been in practice. And you know what? You might not align with every single thing that they say. So talking to different mentors and different teachers and different docs and making those connections are always super helpful. So, finding mentors now instead of scrambling at the last minute. I think a lot of times people find themselves in situations, whether it's their own practice or an associateship, because they graduate and they've never thought about it. And they're like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. And then they scramble to find a job. Well, of course, that's not going to work out very well. So I think even a year out from graduation is a great time to start thinking about all these things, so that you make sure that your future is going to be happy and successful. So, there's so many things to do, and there's so many books on mindset. And like I said, if you want to know the monthly reading list that I have for my associates, just go ahead and email me at boulderatlaschiropractic@gmail.com. And I would be happy to send you our reading list. I would be happy to talk to you about the books that I'm currently reading. I think that that's the best way to make you successful, is just be always learning. Just because you stopped going to school does not mean, man, you got to learn a lot once you're done with school. And reading books and listen to audios, that's the best thing to not only learn, but to keep your mindset in a positive place. Because I'll tell you right now, in the world, it's just constantly, all they're trying to throw at you is all the negative things that are happening. But there's so many positive things happening. So if you focus on the positive things and the growth and the success, especially in your local community, that's what's going to help you be happy and healthy. And so, again, I really like to do this podcast because I want you guys to know that chiropractic can be the most rewarding profession possible. And finding good doctors to work with is possible. I know that people always say chiropractors eat their young, and that might be true. There's probably some really bad associateships, but there's also some really great associateships, and there's also some really great mentors to help you in your own practice. And so I think that, I'm hoping to try to change that narrative of chiropractors eat their young, because I think that there's a lot of chiropractors that want to help young chiropractors be successful. I'm definitely one of those people. I'm always open. My office, you can always come shadow my office. You can always reach out to me. I'm happy to help you, talk to you, answer any questions that you have about business. Over the years, I've helped many associates. And the reason that we read these books is because the main things that they need help with, and a lot of times you guys need help with, is things like happiness, knowing yourself, your money mindset, setting goals, and accomplishing goals. Because you know what? That's not really taught anywhere. It's not taught in high school or undergrad or even chiropractic school. These are something that you have to learn yourself. And over the years, I've had many mentors help me, and I've read many books that have helped me very much. There's no way I could have done it on my own. I've had a lot of help from people outside. Well, that's all I want to talk to you today, guys. Really getting your mindset right, focusing on your future. Because if you have your mindset right and you create your reality to whatever you want, whatever success means to you, that's it. Your own reality can be created within your brain. And I promise you, if you know what you want, that's it. That's the hard part. It will just manifest itself to whatever success and happiness that you're looking for. That's it for today. Please stay tuned. We're releasing this podcast the first Monday. The next podcast will be the third Monday. So the first and third Monday, the new podcast coming out. I'm excited to talk to you guys, and I'm meeting more students. So please shoot me some questions. I'd be happy to answer or go over any topics that you would like me to go over. All right. See you later.